What is going on, future Adeptus Mechanicus players? Please hit subscribe if you're interested in the Ad Mech codex. I'll be doing all kinds of combos and dirty tactics with them. Videos coming in the future. I have a giant Ad Mech army, and I like talking about them, and I like playing them. And I want to just share with you, I think they're really a perfect army for your first army for 40k, or just a perfect all-around army, because they have a nice variety of units and things that they do. And we'll get into that just a little bit here. If you're just starting out, of course, you need the codex. Cards are optional, but there's a lot of stratagems, canicals, doctrines. These may be worth it, or make a cheat sheet to print out for yourself. If you're very much so brand new, I think you could pick up 2 of these combat patrols, or 3, and that's a good start. Very, very easily. You're going to end up with a lot of bits, and these engine seers that come in the combat patrol can be converted into marshals with basically no effort whatsoever, or you can convert them into the archaeotech. So definitely don't worry if you're going to end up with the multiple engine seers. They're easy to convert. You just glue a gun and a melee weapon on him instead of the axe, and he's basically done. You could do a head swap if you want. You got a wide variety of HQs. They all do cool, unique things. You got the Tech Priest, Dominus, and Manipulus. You got the Marshals. You got Balsarius Call, and a few other Engine Seers, things like that, that are going to give you a variety of buffs, and they're all pretty good. It's going to be kind of fun building your army, deciding which one of those buffs you value the most. I think this book scales up to insanity levels if you're doing competitive play. If you're really trying to win, you can definitely make some really, really dirty lists with this book so far. Obviously, we don't have the FAQ yet. So that's one thing that I've always liked about Ad Mech in 8th edition. And after a weekend of playing them so far with the new book, I think I'm going to like a lot in 9th edition is just the variety. It feels like you could take any HQ and it's the right choice. You could take any vehicles and they're the right choice. They're just all pretty good. They all pointed pretty good, and all the troops and things that you take all have roles. Now, some of them might be slightly better in different forge worlds, or different build your own forge worlds in different combinations with different HQs, different relics, different warlord traits, of course. But it's just something really nice about having that kind of variety. Like, it feels like you could pick anything out of this book and have a good time playing with it. And for a first army, you're really going to enjoy the fact, if this is the army that you like the look of the most, which is why I chose them, you can just buy anything. Anything you buy is going to be pretty good. So that's a good feeling. No idea why they're still selling the 8th edition cards in this 8th edition supplement book. Do not buy these. That is pretty crappy that they would even have those on the website still to accidentally sell to new players. Both of these guys here, the Flyers, super fun to have deep strike units that can jump on the battlefield and do various things. One of them's a little more hit and run shooty. One of them's a little more flamethrower melee. You got a transport and a flying transport. So you got transport options. This tank here is the only gun, or the only tank with a gun that has a no line of sight gun. But we have a variety of deep strike abilities where you can deploy out on the battlefield, or the Flyers, or we have big units we can put in strategic reserves for only 1 command point. So I don't know if you're going to necessarily need to go heavy into the no line of sight gun. I got 2 of these. I build them this way, and then I just put a little cover. Don't glue the turret on. Take it off, put a little cover on it, and then you can use them as your transports. I mean, there's no benefit of being open topped. It's no big deal. So if you get a couple of these, build them as the tanks, and then just don't glue the turret on, and you'll be able to use them as your transports as well when you want to do that. I don't actually own or play with any servitors. There's probably a use for them somewhere in the book. But their models are so bad and so old, I have no interest whatsoever in having them. We have some fast attack options that are super cool. These guys are like running around, shooting characters, trying to put a few mortal wounds on them here and there. In combination with maybe an arquebus or 2, you might be able to sneaky take down a character, a low wound character anyway. If you can find this start collecting set, super good deal, and pick up 3 of them, or at least 2. Depending on if you want to field both these and transports, you're going to need more. But if you're just going to do one or the other, you can build them this way. So this start collecting is going to come with that if you can find it at your local game store. The Electro Priests, oh my god, they're so good. These jazz hand ones is what I call them, the Corpuscari Electro Priests. They shoot, they fight, they get exploding hits. They have an incredible stratagem that if somebody charges you, you can make them fight last in combat so you can fight before them. Because in 9th edition, when you choose the first person to fight outside of chargers, it's the opponent's choice first. So your priest will get a fight before. So if they have 1 unit charge your 1 unit of priests, you can guarantee your priest fight before them. Now, it's possible they could have some sort of strike last or whatever ability they could put on you, and then that would be a difference. But both of the priests look very valuable. I love the variety of how much damage these guys can shoot and still swing in combat. But these guys are going to be the ones you want to put on to really smash those tough to kill targets. These ones with volume of fire can kill some pretty tough stuff and put out some insane damage. But, they got a 5-up save, 5-up shrug, and they can get whittled away with small arms fire because they're only toughness 3. So they're wonderful, though. They're so much fun. I love them both. I think I have 20 of these and 15 of these now. I never actually played with the Dragoons. They were a really popular, army build in 8th edition that was players just attempting to go first and deploy these guys 9 inches away from the enemy and charge. And that tactic just seemed really sad to me, banking your whole game plan on putting all your units 9 inches away from the enemy line in Styges and rolling to go first. And that was their plan. And yeah, whatever. If you want to try to end the game by just seeing who goes first, go ahead. Go with a bunch of these. I think there's still play with them, but this price is absurd. $55 for a 75-point model. They're not that big, and it's a total ripoff. I have 4 of the Ballistari, the shooty ones, and I actually think I only bought 1 at full price back when I think it was only $40. I think they've gone up in 2 price increases since 8th edition launched. And yeah, if you see any of your local community selling an Ad Mech army, and if it includes a few of these, pick up that army off that person, $200-300, buy the army off of them, and then you could sell off the extra stuff you don't need, but always keep these because you don't want to pay $55 for these, and they're super good. We'll get into it in some of the combos in the future, but this Ironstrider Ballistari, I could expect a nerf of some sort. I don't know what it's going to be. Could just be a points change, but they are absurd how many buffs you can stack into this unit. It's crazy. So yeah, and you can probably stack it into this unit too, but these guys' guns are just so powerful, and they get all the buffs in the book, so you're going to want to pick up a couple of those guys. Now, of course, we're just pretending things are in stock, so, in the future, pick them up when you can see them. Let's go to the next page. I don't know what's going on. Oh, there we go. So, one thing that makes the army feel very, very good, and not just in a competitive way, it does feel that way as well, but very good, a good feeling, I guess, of playing the army, is you got really good troops this edition. They're way, way too efficient, probably. I would expect a nerf coming on the Vanguard stratagem, either going up 1 CP or turning from a 4+ to a 5+. If you know what that stratagem is, you've watched my other video, it's absurd. A 20-man unit of this, roll out the dice, could put about, 10 to 15 wounds on Mortarion with 1 CP. So it's brutal. You can stack tons of buffs on them. And same with these guys. There's tons of buffs. Special weapons changed, how you take them, but their basic guns are so good. I think you're going to limit how many special weapons you take. You might still take a few of these sniper rifles, a few arc rifles, maybe a few plasma guns if you want. A solid unit. Get them in big squads. You can make them super durable. You can make them super offensive. You can give them a variety of awesome buffs. The Breachers and Destroyers, they don't get access to a ton of buffs anymore. But they still seem very durable and powerful for a troop choice. So if you want a few really durable troops, I would look at Breachers and Destroyers. I'm actually, I think, next week going to try an army with a whole bunch of them while I work on building up some more Rangers and Vanguard. Because I just got about 20 of each, I think. And I think you're going to want about 40 of each in your collection. You don't necessarily need them every game, but if you really want to go competitive, I believe you're going to want a lot of Rangers and a lot of Vanguard and a lot of Chickens. Because they just get all the buffs. There's so much buff stacking for them. But Breachers, awesome unit. Destroyers, awesome unit. Both of them are going to have their place. Both of them can put out some good damage. You're going to have to dig in the book a little bit to find some ways to buff them. They don't have the core keywords, so they kind of miss out on some of the reroll aura type things. But also a nice little buff for the heavy plasma cannon on the Destroyers. It no longer kills you on the roll of a 1. So you only take 1 mortal wound. These guys have 3 wounds each. So you can overcharge those guns safely even without rolling the 1s to hit. So Infiltrators, amazing. This is going to be my first video coming up. So if you like Ad Mech and you want to hear about this awesome combo with the Infiltrators, it's so good. It's so crazy. Definitely subscribe, hit the like button, comment down below if you like the Infiltrators. I love them. I got 15 of these guys. 10 with the tasers, which is my favorite, and 5 with the power swords. And now that I think about it, I might actually have 6 with the power swords. I might have 16 of these guys. Fully painted. I love playing with them. They're so much fun. I love units like this, like Tempest Scions or Swooping Hawks or any little units, or that, you can go up to 10 man, but units you can plop down on the battlefield, can do some shooting, do some combat, whatever. Super fun to play with. So good. Just like the Flyers earlier. They're just really fun to have in your list. And I think they're going to be really great because they can clear out, if somebody leaves something that's not that tough, even maybe just medium tough, these guys can probably clear them off an objective because they have a variety of little stacking combos that can put out a lot of damage. So we'll get into that in the next video about the Ad Mech. Rust Stalkers got a huge buff. They get all the same buffs as the Infiltrators. They just don't get Deep Strike in every situation. They can in Lucius. These guys were not good in 8th edition, and they really buffed them up. A lot of attacks. You can buff stack. Wonderful unit. Another great choice besides Electro Priest to maybe put in your transports. So also super fun things you can do with the Rust Stalkers. Engine Seer, if you can find this guy for 15 bucks, totally worth it. 15 bucks. Save half your money basically. But you're going to get a lot of these Engine Seers in the start collecting type boxes nowadays. So you can find these guys as well. They give +1 to hit to vehicles. So even though your Dune Crawlers don't get, your Onager Dune Crawlers don't get the reroll 1s to hit anymore, you put this guy next to 2 of them and they both hit on 2s anyway. So instead of 3s reroll 1s, they're hitting on 2s. Wonderful buff. Give a vehicle +1 to hit. 1 CP, give another vehicle +1 to hit. So just has to be in 3 inches of both of them. The Manipulus, I don't have this guy yet. I was going to convert him until I saw the model, and he's pretty cool. He's big, and I was definitely just going to convert him off of Dominus, but I think I'm going to actually look for him when he's back available and just pick one up, because I have a huge collection of Ad Mech. I'm not ever going to spend money on that Marshall. What a ripoff. But this guy is cool, so I'll probably pick him up at the $35. He's got a great buff, adds range and AP to a unit, which is insanity when you add it to this Vanguard unit and these Ranger units. It's really, really good. So you'll see the combos in the upcoming videos. But yeah, he's a really, really good HQ. So if you're confident that you're hitting on 2s is good enough, you can go with the Tech Priest Manipulus. If you want to reroll 1s, you can go with the Dominus. If you want both, you can go with both. And they're not that bad. They're like 75 points. And they have awesome guns. I think I skipped over that in the Dominus. This guy's got a strength 7, 3 damage gun. And the Dominus has the Volkite Blaster. You want that gun 100%. 3 shots, strength 6. Any 6s to wound is 2 mortal wounds. It went up from 1 mortal wound to 2. And, I mean, he's hitting on 2s if he didn't move. So you're rolling around and getting usually 2 or 3 hits every time, every turn. It's got good range, and you're fishing for mortal wounds. It's wonderful. Well, serious call. I have not played with him in 8th edition, but I just got mine painted up. If you saw on my Instagram at Sleepwalk Airbrush, or Sleepwalk Air _brush. I'm going to play with him soon. He doesn't have the same all-around aura ability of everybody re-rolling, but he gives 1 unit the full re-rolls, and then he gives the re-roll 1 aura as well. He also looks like a pretty good beat stick, so we're going to talk about him in the future after I get some games in with him. Kastelan robots. This is where I totally believe GW... I feel like there's definitely marketing decisions based on popularity of units. And I feel it here in the robots. So both the Breachers and Destroyers were, especially Breachers, were so popular at the end of 8th. They got a little bit of a nerf on their keywords so they don't get all the buffs. And these guys were really popular with like the Call Castle kind of build, or just the insanity number of shots they used to put out in 8th edition. So I feel like in the meetings at Nottingham headquarters, they say, hey, everybody built these with guns. So let's make the hand-to-hand way better. That way, if they glued them on, they'll probably have to buy more. And I honestly feel like that has to come up in these meetings. I don't think it's like the 100% driving factor, but I think it comes into play. And now these guys look like you're going to want to run them with 1 fist and 1 gun, or 2 power fists, and you can give them the flamer or the gun up top. They have some really cool stuff you can do in melee. They can hit really hard. So think of them as like little dreadnoughts. They used to be like crazy gunboats, but they just don't double shoot anymore. And there's no way to double shoot. There's no stratagem for it. So I think you're going to be better off keeping them in the armor protocol, 2-up save with the invuln. And then when you get into combat, change them over to 2+ weapon skill. And a big change is they can still shoot when they're in the 2+ weapon skill thing instead of the double fight. So they used to not be able to shoot. Now they still can. So you could do 2 power fists plus the flamer or the gun and still shoot while you're swinging those fists at 2-up weapon skill. And they're vehicles, so they can shoot those guns in hand-to-hand combat if anybody survives. So super cool. Like I said, that's it. This other one's just some, next page is just these kind of start collecting bundles. There you have it. I mean, if you want if you're brand new to Warhammer 40K, if you're just looking for an army that does everything, this army is a wonderful pickup if you like the look. A lot of us, I mean, that like this army, it's because the look of them is so cool to us that, like, you just can't resist. You have to play them. And the fact that you got a wide variety of awesome, awesome shooting, quite a few awesome melee units. You got deep strike, you got tanks, you got dreadnought type vehicles, you got transports, you got flyers. You just got everything. And they're all going to be pretty good. Except maybe these servitors. Don't worry about them. So yeah, there you have it. Let me know what you think on the Adeptus Mechanicus. What's your standout unit? Of course, you know, Scutari, big blocks of troop, army lists are going to be powerful. But, you know, what's a sleeper that you like? I can't wait to tell you about these Infiltrators. I think you're really going to be shocked at how good they can be. And you're going to really like it. So, that's another thing, too. I can't remember if I mentioned it. Oh, this tank, too, it got nice buffs on its weapons. And it's super cheap. It's like 120 points. So, definitely can't go wrong with a couple of those guys in your collection. Yeah, so I think you're really going to like this book. It has a lot of depth, but it's a little overwhelming probably only the first couple times you play. And then you'll start building your list into some of these combos I'm going to tell you about in the future videos. And you won't have to remember every rule. But like picking this up on Saturday and playing 2 games on Saturday was a little confusing because there's a lot of layers, a lot of depth. And that's what makes these books really good, is everything's pretty good right off the bat. And then as you discover and peel back those combos and layers, you just can get a better and better army. So you can just take, all your favorite stuff and play with your friends. Or if that tournament's coming up on the weekend, you could tool your list to be pretty deadly. So I think this is a wonderful pickup. People are trying to say, oh, it's a super complicated army for new players. And it's going to be complicated for a couple weeks. But, read your codex. Once you understand the rules of the game, you're going to have a wonderful time with this army. Head on over to your local game store, pick it up. Hopefully you can get a discount or buy a used army off somebody to get started. Because this is one of the more premium price points of armies. Looking at $60 squads and $100 flyers. So looking for those deals, everybody. Not a bad idea. Thank you so much for watching. Please comment down below. Let me know what your favorite Ad Mech unit is. If you have a unit you want me to look for some combos on, make a video about, please subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you in the next one.